We're here now with our OSU Extension Livestock Marketing Specialist, Dr. Derrell Peel. And Derrell, it's kind of crazy to think that we're almost halfway through the year already. And it's been a very dynamic market year. So what have we been seeing in terms of the livestock markets and herd rebuilding?
So yeah, we started this year with some indication of interest in heifer retention and herd rebuilding. The beef replacement heifer inventory was up 0.9%, not enough to actually amount to any herd rebuilding, but an indication that we're starting that way. And that's kind of confirmed if we look at it from the flip side. The steer heifer slaughter ratio has been going up on average for several months. And that's an indication, it's usually an early indication that maybe we're starting to begin that process of retaining heifers and thinking about some herd rebuilding.
Yeah, so based on the data we've seen and what we're projecting out for the rest of the year, do we expect to see any increase in the heifer retention?
Well, I think we're trying to do it and have some interest in doing it. The biggest threat right now is the fact that we've got a lot of drought around the country. According to the Drought Monitor, we have more drought in the U.S. at this time of the year than in the history of the Drought Monitor. So it's pretty concerning right now. If conditions persist like this, we continue to see drought, then that may preempt any plans that we have in terms of additional heifer retention that would set up some herd rebuilding.
So have we been seeing any kind of stabilization over this year already?
Yeah, as far as the cow side of this, we started the year with the smallest cow herd yet. It was down again last year, but cow culling has been coming down the last 3 years, and it's down so far this year. All of those are the kinds of things that would suggest we're trying to stop liquidation and stabilize the herd. But again, drought conditions are the biggest threat to this. So if we see drought, we may see cow slaughter, which is down so far this year again for the 4th year in a row. It could actually have to tick back up if we see additional liquidation caused by drought.
Yeah, there's been a lot of factors affecting the markets over this year already. So how are these things affecting the prices of beef cattle?
You know, we continue to see record high prices. This thing just winds tighter and tighter. The feeder cattle supply is tight. All of this talk about heifer retention suggests that the tightest supplies are still ahead of us. So if we're not able to do more heifer retention, supplies will remain tight. We'll probably maintain pretty close to the levels we have now. If we're able to do additional heifer retention, that'll push prices even higher. So it's really a question of high or higher in terms of beef prices.
Yeah, and also we've been seeing a large increase in fuel prices. How has that been affecting the market?
Yeah, from a producer standpoint, high energy prices and high fertilizer prices are adding to input costs and adding to the challenges on that side. Probably the biggest threat I see to the market overall would be on the consumer side in terms of high gasoline prices. So if we were to see high gas prices persist for several more months, that could eventually have an impact of dampening beef demand. I don't think it's going to push beef prices a lot lower, but it might slow down the rate at which they're likely to go up.
Yeah, so what's your advice for producers and consumers at this point?
For producers, we're trying to manage through all of this volatility in the market, take advantage of the market. We're still very optimistic for generally higher prices for the rest of the year. Consumers, unfortunately, there's not a lot of relief in sight, but we don't see that having a big impact at this point on demand. Consumer demand for beef continues very strong.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for catching up with us, Derrell. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks.